All right, everyone. Looks like on the hour to me. I'm Jenny Sauer. Welcome to End User Tools presents the Citrus Canker Trace Surveys using ArcGIS Survey123. I have a little poll up. I notice about half of you have kind of weighed in on it. Just kind of trying to weigh how you may have prepared to participate today. Boy, it's early. You see, I need more coffee already. And some of the options are studying survey protocol, being sure that you have read there's a user guide for the app itself for ArcGIS Survey123, or maybe even just perusing it a little so that you know kind of what to expect. There is also a self-paced training video series that will help you through being comfortable with Survey123. Having access to the USDA MRP portal. I know that's kind of a pain, and some of you are at various stages of having that access confirmed. You have to install the ArcGIS Survey123 app, which you can do yourself without IT's help, which is nice. Establishing that portal connection in the app and downloading the survey that we'll use for Citrus Canker Trace Forward surveys is kind of the last step to being able to just jump in and fill out these survey forms. So the last option there was all of the above. I'm totally ready. And I noticed that 3 or 4 of you have already said, yeah, that's how you feel. So that's great. If you don't feel that way, it's not a big deal. I just wanted to point out some of the things that will help support you in being able to do these surveys really easily. So those are the steps that you really need to take. I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. And thank you for those that participated in that. That helps me out a lot. And I want to show you before we really get started, in case any of you have started to panic that you have not done these things yet, where you can find some resources. This website here, the Mobile Data Collection Tools website, hopefully you know about. I'm going to go ahead and stick that in the chat along with a quiz link for you. So this website, the top half of it is all document related, and the bottom half is all video related. And once this training this morning is complete, I'm going to work real hard to get this video this morning to show up here in this video gallery, and it will show up under this category for PEST program. So you can just click there and you'll see it in here, but you can also search by keyword. It's very sensitive. You can pretty much type anything that's in the description of the video or the title, and it'll take you right to it. So if you need to, for instance, learn about Survey123, there's a whole series of videos there, including some sign-in information. So that's the video side. The document side also has some support already for Citrus Canker. Under the PEST program specific training documents, you already have Citrus Canker here, and there is a manual and a quick reference guide for how to input data into this survey, the Trace Forward survey. Going back, again, you also have some general training in Survey123 under this general training documents. And so this website, keep handy. It's probably something you'll come back to if you want a reference, or if you have not already kind of looked into these little training preps. Secondly, that quiz link, I hope that didn't scare anyone. My quizzes are super easy. They're really meant to just kind of give you a chance to show that you did hear the points that hopefully I gave the points that you needed to hear, and you did hear them. And I make them super easy so that you can just kind of click through and say, yeah, I got it, a little knowledge check. And I don't mind at all if you open this quiz now and take it as we talk this morning. The benefit to the quiz for you is that knowledge check, number one, but also secondly, this little third question here on email address. If you type that in carefully, as the hint says here, and then you complete the quiz, if you submit your quiz, you will get an automated email response that says you completed this class. So it could be a nice thing. I'm not saying it's going to be a required class, but it would be probably very helpful to your supervisors here or your team leads on the IMT to see that you you did this course, that you completed the quiz, that you know how to do this. And again, they're easy, so I don't want you to feel stressed out about that at all, but this quiz will give you that little feather in your cap, I guess, if you view it that way. So these two things, these two resources, I just slipped into the chat, and do me a favor if someone comes in late or the chat gets a little wild and someone needs these, feel free to copy and paste it back into the chat for me if I miss that, if somebody asks. Sometimes that happens to me. Okay, so those are the resources I wanted to share with you. So I asked you about whether you were prepared or felt prepared and how you may have prepared yourself this morning. And just to review, in order to collect data in this ArcGIS Survey123 app, what you need to know is survey protocol. Once again, that's really important. It's not something I can teach you. You need to have a device. And actually, that might be a nice little, let's do a quick poll on that as well. I'd love to hear what kind of device you plan on using. Survey123, as you can see by the question here, how do you plan to collect survey data? The app itself can be used in pretty much any device. I have my personal phone is a Google Pixel. I use it in that if I need to. I have an iPhone, an iPad, desktop. Okay, we're getting a pretty good smattering here. I'm going to end it in 3, 2, 1. And I just want to show you all your answers. Someone said other. Well, actually, 2 of you said other. So what other than a phone or a tablet or a desktop? Another tablet? Would someone who said other mind unmuting and letting me know? Gary says all of the above. A laptop. Okay, laptop. I'm seeing the same as desktop in my mind right now, but thank you for saying that for us. Anybody else? Okay, so it looks like most of you, you know, any of this could happen. So I just want to let you know that today I will show the app and the survey form itself on my desktop, but I do also have an iPad here. The view is the same. It really is quite consistently adapted to mobile or, you know, your monitor on a laptop or desktop. So it really will look the same, and I can show you that briefly. I'll share my screen on the desktop, but I can also share my iPad and show you what that looks like today. So rest assured, we'll look at all of that and make sure that you feel comfortable. To collect data and feel prepared, you need to know survey protocol, program protocol. We'll need a device of some kind. It would be helpful for you to have the Citrus Canker Trace Forward Surveys manual and quick reference guide kind of handy under your belt, that you've looked that over, that you have a comfort either in past use or that you have done a little review on the app itself. We have that Intro to Survey123 video training and also a user guide so that you can look in that. You'll need to have the application itself installed on that device. You'll need to sign in to the USDA MRP. It's the device calls it, or the app calls it, the Enterprise Portal, ArcGIS Enterprise Portal. So we'll look at that quickly. And you need to download the survey, whether you're on a desktop or a mobile device. It is designed to be used in a mobile fashion, and so it's got to be downloaded in order to use it. And then you will need, in order to sign in, a portal user role. You'll need a role allowing you access. It sounds like a lot. Some of those things you've probably checked off your list in your mind real fast, especially based on your poll that you did when you first came in. A lot of you are already on top of that. And it goes by quickly. And with all of that said, I gotta tell you, the app is pretty easy to use. Once you're in, it's really like any form you've ever filled out. It's not hard. So this course today, this little training we're doing today, is going to pick up assuming that you have those things in place to an extent, and it'll fill in those last gaps with how the data is collected according to the way the app is designed. I'm not going to go into survey protocol. So it's like that last rung on the ladder. I think of these trainings as, you know, like in gym class when you had to climb the rope, and then if you climbed the rope but you didn't ring the bell at the top, then you didn't get credit. So this class will ring the bell at the top, I hope. and give you the resources you need. What are we going to talk about today then? This sign in into this enterprise portal, the ArcGIS enterprise portal. We have for this survey an official survey form and a training version of that form. And they're hosted under different enterprise portals. One is the official production portal. As you might expect, a production portal is official. That's where the official data goes. And for practice or for playing around or for just an exercise or today for demonstration purposes, I will use the training version of that. And so the only real difference is being sure that you only enter official data in the official survey form. Make sure that you're not in a training survey form entering data, and that's not a big deal. It's just about choosing the correct portal to sign into when you open up Survey123. It's pretty easy, and I'll share that as well. We're going to talk about a disconnected workflow if needed. We're just going to briefly overview it. For anyone out there that's going to use a mobile device, it is possible to disconnect from Wi-Fi and be out there collecting data. I don't think it specifically is going to apply to most of you today. So I'm just going to show you that that is a possibility. And we're going to look at the survey form itself. Like I said, I'll share it on my desktop, and I can give you a brief look at the iPad too. If at any time you have questions as I'm talking, please feel free to interrupt. We have 21 people here. If you want to raise your hand, I will try to pay attention. I've got the participant little window open, but if I don't notice, go ahead and unmute, and please do interrupt. It's more important to me that you understand and feel comfortable and confident in using this, because I know you're just going to, some of you are hitting the road running today. So please go ahead and interrupt. It's not awkward for me at all. I want you to, and I know that's for me very hard to do, but please do it if you need to for any reason. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Just diving into this Survey123 app, it does involve a few setup steps, which then are kind of tossed aside and you forget about them once you've got it done. There are 3 steps. You have to install the app on the device. You need to establish that connection to the correct enterprise portal. Like we talked about, there's a training or an official portal. And then you need to download that survey itself in order to use it. And again, there's support for this app on that website. What's it look like when you open Survey123? It kind of looks like this when you first start off. And you have the option to sign in with ArcGIS Online or manage ArcGIS connections. We are going to manage ArcGIS connections, and ever after, those steps are all printed out in the manual for you on how to establish the connection that you need. And then ever after, it kind of looks like this. It holds on to the last sign in and URL that you used, and see that MRP. This would be your official data site, your official URL. So then when you open the app the next time, this is what you would see, and you would just tap on sign in with ArcGIS Enterprise right here and then continue on. So the difference between those 2 portals, this is the URLs used to establish those connections. That official data collection, you can see that MRP pops in there. There's that little hint there. And then the training version, which we'll use today, is held in the stage portal. And so that URL has that STG there. That's the only difference between the URLs. It's not a big deal, just you want to make sure that you're in the right one when you're really officially entering data. This is the disconnected mode workflow. If you're going to use disconnected mode, you have to download that survey, obviously, when you are connected to Wi-Fi. This survey uses an inbox, and you just have to tap refresh to get the updated version of the surveys that are available to complete edits on. And then you can actually disconnect from Wi-Fi and go on out in the field or be wherever you are and collect data, which is then saved to something that Survey123 calls an outbox. And that outbox just holds on to those survey edits in your device. until you're ready to reconnect to Wi-Fi. And then you go back, connect to a reliable Wi-Fi, open that out box, and send all of those collected surveys, and then you would refresh your inbox. So if you're not going to do disconnected, then you would not disconnect from Wi-Fi. And the way this workflow just changes to be connected is remaining connected, downloading the survey, refreshing the inbox. Then this one would change to just collect data. You don't have to turn the Wi-Fi on because it's still on. And then this last step, you no longer have an outbox to worry about. So this would be your workflow if you're remaining connected, and that's probably what most of you will do. The survey itself is probably what you really want to see. So I just wanted to get through a few of those tips, but then I will go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna open Survey123 on my desktop. So Survey123 has been giving me, upon opening on my desktop, this error message, and I can retry or close. I'm not worried about location services right now. I'm on a desktop and these are preloaded. So I'm gonna just say retry and it seems to solve that. So Survey123 opened all the way in, and that training survey, you can tell it's training is right there in the title, all caps, right? That training survey is sitting there for me to open as a downloaded survey already. If I need to, I can go to the top right where my profile menu is, and I can sign out. And right here, I can also see where I'm signed in, and you can see it's USDA, MRP, and there's that stage. So I know I'm in that stage environment. And if I sign out, I can sign in then to the official one where I have portals managed. And again, those steps, if you need, are in the manual that kind of walk you through signing into the correct one. But this is where I can really check and make sure if that training all caps didn't tip me off, I can see which one I'm signed into here. And this is where I would download surveys if I didn't have that sitting there. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that be. And I'm just going to open this survey up. And this is what it looks like when you first click on that downloaded survey. And as you can see, we have the option of an inbox here because all of the locations that you will be collecting information on are already preloaded. The shipping information is already preloaded into an inbox. So we're going to go ahead and click or tap, if it's a device, on that inbox. And our first step might be to refresh. Refresh is going to gather all of the updates to that list. And as it says, searching for related data, it's going to update the entire list. You probably can already tell this is not real data. Nobody you know at 123.4 Main. So none of this data in here is real. If you get this far and you're trying to collect real data, that should also tip you off. This is not, you're not going to find a real location that you need to collect data on in this training version. So a couple things on this inbox. You can go ahead and, have this whole list here and search. I actually, you can search by any information entered. I previously entered something here on this, and so this one shows up for me. I can go ahead and just scroll through and locate the one I need to collect data on. If maybe let's say I'm in Washington, that one I just pulled up was a Washington location. I can go to this, we're in the list view and I've got this little dot, but I can go to the map view and this is especially helpful in a device where maybe loading all of these is a little clunky. It's taking a moment to load. There we go. But I can actually zoom, I can click and drag, use my mouse wheel, zoom on in to that state. Maybe that's all I need. And what will happen is now if I refresh, I'm going to get only those locations that are showing up on my map. I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh again. I'm refreshing according to the map zoomed extent. So see if I zoom back out, that's all I've got. Nothing down below. And now I can go back to this list and it will only be listing these locations, which is still kind of a lot, Oregon and Washington. But that could reduce what you're looking at and might help you find things. I'm going to go back again and find this Jenny S, which is how I entered myself as a surveyor. And I'm going to go ahead and select this one to add data on. So I've searched for what I want. I found the address. It's this 1234 Main Street in Kirkland. And I click on that bar and I get these two options, to view or edit. Well, if you just want to view it, that's fine, but you all will be editing. So I'm going to go ahead and click on edit to edit that survey. And as you can see, we've got three little sections here that are reduced in size. If we click this little caret, it's going to open up that section. And this is the shipping information that is preloaded. So your first step really should always be to check this information. Is this correct? And if it's not, you're not able to edit it here, but if this information needs any kind of correction in it, you'll make that note in the next section under contact attempts. So I'm going to close that up. And now we have these two other sections of questions, contact attempts and plant collection. So most likely, most of you today, I assume, are going to be starting with this contact attempts. In my case, I've already attempted some contacts. This one has, questions that are required. Some things were already filled in. I completed one. Actually, it looks like there are two. You can complete multiple contact attempts. And once I've reached the bottom of this form, you can see here we've got one of two, an arrow that will take me to the next. And there's the second contact attempt where they were unavailable. And if I want to add another contact attempt, I can hit this plus button. If it was the first time, we'll look at another one, it would be blank just like this. And now I have the option to even trash it. If I've made a mistake by hitting that button, I've got this trash can, I can hit that and send it to the recycling bin. But contact attempts has pretty simple radio buttons, just like any form. I'm on the phone, I'm a USDA person. It was contacted by me, Jenny S. The date, if I tap on this, I just get a calendar. It automatically gives me today and this time. Here I am in Mountain Time. And if I need to change that, let's say I'm filling this out and I did this yesterday, hopefully not, it's best done live, but you can change things on the calendar. Click anywhere else and close that up. Contact status, I could say it was finally successful, or I could schedule a callback. Here in contact notes is where you might add additional notes about the caller visit. And this is also where you would enter anything in this shipping information that was incorrect or needs a correction. These should be pretty rock solid, but let's always make sure that we're checking that. And if there is anything right here under contact notes, that's where you would add a note about that shipping information. Maybe there's a typo, maybe there's something funky there, or the person has updated something for you, and that's where you would put that. Any questions about the contact attempts form? Okay, I know they're probably rolling around in your head, and if I don't get to your answers, what I like to do is make a note or keep it in your memory and let me know if it comes up. So contact attempts, obviously you can do multiple. And what you do is you enter one and scroll down to the end of that form, and you can go ahead and keep adding them. Finally, this section, let me close this one up. It gets a little bulky on the screen. The last section is on plant collection. Again, same thing. You just go ahead and fill it out according to how you've been taught, but it's pretty easy, any form. Tap on date, you'll get today's date and timestamp automatic. Click anywhere else, that goes away for you. I'm going to say collected on site, and I remember there were 3 in that shipping information. We got all 3, I'm going to say. Number of missing plants. And if you click there, you see it just pops into 0 as the default. But if more than 0, you've got a little hint here. If greater than 0, explain below why. So if you hit 0, then you've got, if you hit 1, for instance, if it'll let me, it won't let me. So I'll have to explain in the survey comments why this is not true, how many other citrus plants are on this property. You know, just like any form, answer the questions. There's some little hints here. Additional notes about this plant collection activity is what you would enter here. If you don't have anything, that may be fine. Survey status, I could say at this point, completed. We collected the plants that were shipped to them. And then all of that is complete. I always want to go back to the top, check over all my answers. Is that correct? Is that correct? One final eyeball never hurts anything. And now that this is complete, I'm going to close this up. I would go through and make sure that all that I've entered is complete and correct. Now we've got this little check mark here along this bottom bar to the right.
Jenny,
Yes.
can you go back to plant collection?
Yeah.
So if you go to the bottom right there where it says how many of the ship plants were collected,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you'll put, like, if they said 2, like go ahead and put 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you click on the 0, that one
Oh,
can't
now
be
I get it.
modified.
Thank you, Emma. I was
Yeah,
like,
it
what
can't
am I
be.
missing?
Yeah, it can't be modified, that number, but that's a little hint that was built in. That way, if they tell you 2, then you know that there's 1 plant missing somewhere. And
Oh,
then you'll
thank you.
write down in the comments why. Also, if you go to the bottom where the status is,
Mm-hmm.
if the guys that are making the calls, you will leave it at pending status and you will submit your records. The completed is only used after the collection has been done, the plant collection
Mm-hmm.
has been done. Just so they know, because once they hit completed, it's going to erase from the inbox and it's going to assume that everything has been done for that location. They've called, they've collected, and everything has been closed.
Awesome. Thanks for stepping in there, Emma. Yeah. Okay, great. So you heard Emma. It should be pending. Even and this little built-in, I was trying to figure that out for a second there. I haven't had enough coffee, I guess. Thank you, Emma. Thanks for stepping in. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome. There's
Okay.
also, sorry. I think there's one more detail. If you put on how many other citrus plants, there is an option that will give you the camera. Put like 3, I think. And then hit the survey. There should be another right there. So whenever you ask how many other citrus plants are on the property, it's going to ask you, are they symptomatic? No, yes, or undetermined. If you put yes or undetermined, it's going to give you the option to do the images. So they are requesting for images. This is only if you're out in the field and you're doing the plant collection. If you do see something symptomatic, the team is asking for pictures to be taken. Only 3 can be taken and submitted with the record.
Awesome. So as you can see, the form does really help you out. Depending on how you answer, you get other questions that kind of follow through. Great. Any questions on that? Okay, so I'm going to put no here because I don't have any photos and I'm on my desktop, but from a mobile device, that's a lot easier done. And then probably if you said yes, and this is a new application for your device, it's going to ask you for access to your camera and you'll have to say yes and all of that stuff as well. So I'll say no for now. And let's say that we feel good about this and we've checked it over and we checked with Emma and made sure that we answered this correctly. Then in order to complete this survey, you're going to want to go ahead and click this check mark to submit it. And you can see the messaging here. yourself. Yeah, I know you guys can read, but it says my device is online, and that's true. I'm on my desktop. If my device is not online, for instance, maybe my iPad and I'm working in disconnected mode, these options will be different. The messaging will say your device is offline, and it will ask you to send later, and it will save it in the outbox. You always have the option to save it in the outbox and check it over later and then send it later, or you can send now. Now, I don't know if Emma or others on the team are going to suggest something like that. I would recommend sending now if you're feeling good about it. There's no reason to hang on to things. And if you save something to an outbox, that really is, I say it a lot, but it's like writing in your diary. It is saved to your device, desktop or mobile, no matter what. It's not been submitted. And so it's not a great idea to keep that to yourself unless you have to. So we really recommend that you only use this outbox if you are working out in the field and you are disconnected and have to. Otherwise, I would choose send now. This other option, continue the survey, is a great option because sometimes you click that button and in the background you're like, oh no, this was 2. So you have this option to go back before you've submitted it and go back to that survey and make sure that it's correct. So if you have any need to go back, you can, but I would recommend send now at this point. And we're just playing in this data to practice. And there you go, it's off. If I go to look for that survey now, you can see it says no results found. That survey just got sent off to out of my device completely. And so if I go ahead and search Jenny S now, nothing. And so this might trip you up a little bit. What you need to do if you want to find it again and make sure that your list is complete is hit this refresh button again. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. I'm going to hit refresh. It really is like a postal inbox, and once you send, it leaves this list. So now we've got to hit Jenny S again, and there we are. Here it is again, and I can view or edit if I want to. Any questions at all on the desktop view of this? Okay, then quickly, I'm going to also show you what it looks like from the iPad. I'm going to pull that over. And this is my PPQ iPad. As I said earlier, I also have I have an Android device that I've used for Survey123. It works and looks exactly the same. You can do all of the same steps. So all you have to do is install that app and sign into the correct portal, and you'll find that survey to download and you're good to go. PPQ iPads already have all of these survey apps sitting here. My iPad, I don't have an OtterBox on. If you have a device, I would definitely not recommend you being out in the field with something just loose like this, but it just shows up better on the camera for me here. To open Survey123, you just go ahead and tap. And it's trying to sign in. I can see already that STG that I'm signing into that stage portal. Again, I see the same things I saw on the desktop. I can see that I have downloaded that training version. It's all caps training. I can go to my profile. I can see that I'm in that USDA MRP stage portal. If I need to sign out to collect real, I'm putting it in quotes, real or official data, I can go ahead and do that. I can download the survey here if I need to as well. Tap to open. All of the clicks on the mouse are now taps with the finger. You guys know how mobile devices work, but all of the same steps now. So we can tap the inbox. I can refresh the list and get the full list. We're in the list mode. I can go to the map view. It takes a little minute to load that map background, but same view as you can see. This is where that zooming to an area of interest might be really helpful. so that you only see what you want to see. There's all of Washington. I'm going to go ahead and hit refresh again. And so I should see now on the list only these. Go back to the list view, and I'm only seeing Washington and a few Oregon. So that's a handy dandy way to kind of sort your list down a little. Again, I can search. I'm just going to go Jenny S again. And there's that one we edited from the desktop. Again, I can view or edit. You all will most likely be editing, but you can hit view and look at anything at any time. Again, the same sections: shipping information, contact attempts, and plant collection. This is the same form we just saw. So as you can see, it looks exactly the same. You want to check over the shipping information. The contact attempts we should have 3 of now. There we are, 1 of 3. So as you can see, updating that inbox does pull in all of the last updates that have been submitted. I can toggle through those and look at them. Now I'm on 3 of 3. If I needed to add another contact attempt, I would hit this plus sign and fill out another attempt form. The plant collection questions are all completed because we just did that together with Emma's help. Thank you, Emma. And those are all there. If I want to, I can go ahead and fill out another contact attempt, or perhaps this part isn't complete, and then I would again hit this little check box. I am connected. I've got Wi-Fi on. I don't need Bluetooth, but anyway, I've got Wi-Fi connected, and so it would give me the same options. Maybe what we should do is disconnect, and let's add another contact attempt together so we can see what that looks like while disconnected. I'm just going to say on-site. That's great. I'm going to say unavailable. I left a voicemail. Could I leave a voicemail? No. I'm going to say no contact and none. So this has to make sense. Obviously, I'm not making sense. I'm not going to leave any notes there. I'm going to say that we did schedule to call back. And so now I have new information, right? And so now I have 4 contacts made. And now to submit, well, not connected, I'm going to give you that view. So here we are on a mobile device. The messaging is pretty clear. There's not a lot here. It says your device is offline. That's true. I'm not connected to Wi-Fi. So my option is to save in the outbox or continue the survey, go back and make some changes. I'm going to go ahead and hit save in the outbox. Now, what did that do? It took me back to that list again where we had it sorted by Jenny S. And again, it's not there because I've kind of sent it somewhere. I sent it to my outbox. Where's the outbox? I'm going to go back 1. This original page where you originally only had inbox, you now have outbox, and also a number of surveys that are just being held in that outbox. So then as part of the workflow end of the day, or when you get back to Wi-Fi on, and now I would open the outbox. I'm going to go, this could be a list if you're out there for the day, but we only have 1. I'm going to go ahead and tap this to show you the options. You could decide to delete that survey. You could go look at it in a map view. Just tapping the survey itself, you have the option to edit it again if you'd like to. Do you want to edit it? And I'll say no.
Is it the bottom button, Jenny, the send?
Oh, I did miss it. Thank you, Emma. So I click on it. No, I don't see it, Emma.
On the bottom left.
Oh, yeah.
Bottom right.
You guys, what would I do without Emma? All right, so you have a list here, right? You don't have to click on it, but if you wanted to, you can still go back and edit each one. Normally, you'd have more than one here, probably, but you have the option to look at it in a list view, as a map view, or to send. These are the options. Thank you, Emma. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit send. And now that we're connected, that was super fast. It's gone. And now you don't have that outbox here hanging out. Again, the big caveat for the outbox, it is like writing in your diary unless you send it. So don't hold on to things in your outbox any longer than you have to. And then coming back to the inbox, you're going to need to refresh again to make sure that that survey is now again updated here in your device. Any questions or anything that you'd like to see on the mobile device while I have this up? Did I miss anything, Emma, that you'd like to see?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. I think you covered everything.
Okay, then I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint because we've talked about a lot here today. Not a ton. I hope I've kind of calmed any kind of worries you might have, but you could still need some help. The incident management team is your go-to. I've got Billy Newton and Emma as my people. You may have a team lead that you're reporting to naturally, and that's fine, but they're here for you if you need any help at all related to the survey protocol, related to how this is being done. Any questions on that form that I'm obviously unable to answer. If you're using a PPQ iPad, CECIT supports them, so I would encourage you to open tickets with them if you need help. If you don't see the Survey123 app on your device and it's managed by APHIS, then you need to open a ticket. If you're using your own device, that makes it a lot easier for this case scenario. If you need access to that USDA MRP Enterprise portal, I know Emma and Billy and my team with End User Tools is working really hard to make that more efficient for you. But in general, there are resources if it gets a little tricky and it's not working as you expect. Anything training related and anything my team End User Tools group can do to support you all out there in the field. For the most part, that mobile data collection tools webpage is your go-to and should give you a whole lot of resources. But please also reach out to us if you need help. We're into finding success for you all. And then finally, take that quiz when you get a chance. It's going to just cement a few of the things we talked about today, and it's going to give you credit for having completed the training. The things that we talked about today, the big things that I just wanted to review with you really are this training survey versus the official. Just be comfortable with having established those portal connections in the app. Once you have them established, it's pretty easy. You sign out and back in and it gets real easy, but you do have to be connected to Wi-Fi. So it's something to think about if you have to go out into the field. You want to be connected to the right portal and have the survey ready. And that disconnected workflow using the outbox. Be careful with that outbox if you save things to it. Like I said, it's like saving something to your diary. It's really only information you know about as long as it's in that outbox. So make sure that you get back to Wi-Fi and get it out of that outbox. And finally, on the survey form, as you can see, there's some tricks to it. How you answer certain questions might lead you to other questions. It's pretty intuitive, but hopefully we went over the bigger ones that you need to know about. And also be sure that you refresh that inbox often. If you're not seeing something that you should see, it's probably a refresh issue. So you want to make sure you're refreshing that inbox. And if you're working disconnected, you want to do that before you leave so that you have an updated inbox to work with. And lastly, again, questions. Any questions at all on anything that we covered here today? Anybody have anything that they would like to see again or that I didn't show?
Maybe just the questions, just a reminder that leave it at pending if you're doing phone calls, because once you hit that complete button, the complete status, it will remove it from the inbox. And we still need the people out in the field to access this information. Yeah,
Yep.
so if you're only making contacts, if you can just please leave it at pending and hit the check mark to submit your contact attempts. I think that's pretty much it. Just make sure you look at the shipping information in the beginning, just so you know how many plants were shipped out, the correct name and stuff like that, the correct owner's name. And like Jenny says, if there needs to be a change to that information, you can write it on the contact attempts, the notes. On the bottom. And then just document any contacts that you've made by hitting the plus sign. I think that's it.
Sometimes it takes using it a little to come up with some questions, and that's why I just want to say, please reach out. Emma and Billy are there for you initially, but any of us are happy to try to help you. Chad says, will this training be available for review? And yes, Chad, that's a good question. And again, where's it going to show up? It's going to show up on this mobile data collection tools. Emma will probably try to help communicate that out, but it's going to show up in this video gallery here. And then KM Ryan, if we make a mistake and it's sent off as complete when it should be pending, where do we go to find it to make a correction? Emma just explained that and this is a great question. If you hit complete by accident, please try not to. I'm sorry I ever showed you that. But if you do hit complete, it's going to disappear and go off and not be available in the inbox. So Emma, where should they go then if that happens?
I am working on getting that response.
I'd say go to Emma first and we'll figure out where it goes from there then.
Yeah, if for some reason you hit complete, just give me the location that you hit complete and we will send it up to get that corrected.
Great. And then Mariana says to confirm, we will not be adding any images if the plants are symptomatic since we are not in the field.
Correct, because Mariana's just doing phone calls. So you shouldn't be doing the plant collection section.
Yeah.
The individuals, the 8 virtual deployers, you're only doing contact attempts. So you will only be filling that top portion out.
Yeah, the photo only shows up under plant collection and only if you answer that there are other citrus plants on the property and yes or undetermined. That's the only time the photo comes up under this section. Oh, you say my training video. Oh, I love this, Liliana. Thank you. Her training videos are really good. I encourage everyone to see them. I will say that I try really hard to make them short too. So I don't need to just be talking at you in a video. So if you like bite-sized pieces of training, that's the way to go. You know, under 10 minutes every time, usually 5 to 8 minutes, get your answer as fast as I can get it to you. And Lisa says, so if all plans have been gathered, you can click on completed. Emma, I'm gonna punt that answer to you.
For Lisa, so if all the plans have been gathered, you can click on completed. Correct. If you're doing the plant collection and it's already been picked up, yes, you can hit completed.
Hi, can you guys hear me? This is Mafalda. I'm with the operations. Hello, everyone. Good morning. One thing to add to that is if you're making phone calls and the person you're speaking to says that all plants have been gathered, that might happen next week. It's not going to happen this week. So this week, if they say that, please do not click on complete because nobody's been to their property to collect the plants. And the only way that it would be correct is if we can confirm. So if they say they shipped their plants to the SPUD or the SPUD's office, which may happen. And if that's the case, I still wouldn't want to keep it pending until we can confirm with the SPUD that those plants were received. And then we would mark it complete. So no matter what, for the phone calls, I don't think we should mark anything complete. Just put notes so that someone, you know, afterwards who's supposed to be doing the field work can come in and say, okay, well, they said that this was shipped to the SPUD's office and they're still calling it pending. So we'll let those people know to confirm with the SPUD that those plants have been received before, or they'll go out in the field and check themselves. Does that make sense to everyone?
Silence is golden, Mafalda. So today it should always be pending, even because none have been collected on site. And even if they would say they shipped to the SPUD, we're still going to say pending down here, but we're going to put our notes here in the survey comments.
Yes,
Is that
thank
the
you.
gist? Okay. Thanks, Mafalda. That's great.
Sure.
Hello. That kind of brings up a question that I have. How does it work if um, one person is making contact via phone call with a particular address, but at the same time, someone might be out in the field collecting those plans? And when that data is uploaded, will it like overlap? What happens if that does occur?
So Christina, this is Mafalda again. Ideally, that does not occur because the people out in the field shouldn't be going to properties where we haven't already gotten permission if we're doing call aheads. That's the whole point of the call ahead, right? Is to get that information and provide it to the field staffs to enable them to do their work a little bit faster. But if it does happen, then I don't know, I think one or the other needs to give us a call in operations so that we can figure out what to do and get the correct information and make sure that that entry ends up being accurate.
And from the application side, if updates are being done on the same, if some strange, for some strange reason, there are updates being done to the call ahead and maybe also in the field to these plant collection fields, and then submitted later. Number one, in the field, they might be more likely to be doing that at the end of the day, and so the overlap may not be happening, but it's all going to be connecting back to that server, that USDA MRP enterprise portal, and updating. So they just update. The overlap is not a big deal for this. It can handle quite a few things hitting it at the same time, on the chance that that might happen.
This is Rick. The way it works technically at the database level is that the last one to update a record is what gets recorded. In other words, whoever enters the data last wins. Does that make sense?
Except for only if they're fighting. So like if someone is updating a contact attempts, that's going to get updated. And then if someone else is updating a plant collection, that also will be updated. They'll both be updated. They're not going to fight unless the update is the same field. Then in Rick's scenario, that database, last one in is the one that wins, kind of idea. If that makes sense. Go ahead,
Is
Gary.
there any systems in place to prevent two callers, say myself and Rick are trying to call the same person at the same time or within minutes or even hours apart?
Maybe that's a Mafalda or Emma question. Is that even something that will happen with your organization?
That's a Mafalda question, but I believe they have particular, each person is getting a list, and so there shouldn't be any duplicates within those lists, correct, Mafalda?
Yes, and even if there happens to be a duplicate, if you just, I mean, you'll see if there's already, I would check the data on the computer or, your electronic device first to see if it's already been filled in, because it's not going to be filled in unless someone physically fills it in. And if it looks like it's already filled in, you could be like, huh. But there's also the chance for multiple contacts, right? So if there's a contact date that says a phone call was made today and you're calling today, then you know that something's not right there, right? Or especially if you're looking and you see that there's notes and it says, okay, this person said, this, and this, then make the judgment call and say, no, I shouldn't call them, or ask me or Taylor and we'll look into it. But the data should be, people, if you guys are making these phone calls, I expect you to be entering the data as you're making the phone calls so that that doesn't happen,
Okay. Thank
so
you,
hopefully
Mafalda.
you're welcome. But the hopes is that we don't bombard these poor, customers with multiple phone calls if they don't need them.
Right. Yeah. I just didn't want mud in our face, and it's saying, oh, we just spoke to somebody 5 minutes ago.
Absolutely. So there might be an issue with, and we're working through that with each of the different states. in that some states are having their state cooperators call, but we're working with them to make sure that they're also using this the system so that that also doesn't happen. And for the ones that are, one state in particular, they were gonna have state cooperators help with phone calls. They're gonna wait until we're done with this TDY before they start making those phone calls. So they will follow up with anything that's not able to be completed. But that's the only place where I can really see some conflict is maybe the state's calling, you know, the state cooperators are calling outside of using the system, which we're trying to make sure they don't do that. So if you are on a phone call and someone says, hey, you know, someone just called me from, you know, Mississippi and they said they were you. And so just please gather as much information, be as polite as possible, obviously. Gather as much information as you can from that caller or the person you're calling and write it in the notes so that we're aware for the future what happened and we can follow up with that. And then just also either call me or Taylor and we'll try to fix that too and stop that from happening. That's the only place I can really see conflict is, you know, two separate entities trying to do the same thing, not using the same system. So like I said, we're trying to fix that, but if it does happen, please, please, please let us know.
I have one quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm in the New Orleans area and we got a trace for a lady who ordered some trees from the seller and she received them. I called her yesterday and we set up a time to get the trees tomorrow, I think at 9 a.m. Once I get the tree, what would be the next step? Like, do we, I do PHSS work and I'm also SITSI. So like, is that something we would put in an arm? Do we just hold the tree until, what would be the next steps?
So you would double bag and hold the tree until you get further instruction.
Okay.
And you would get that instruction from either the SPUD or us.
Okay. Will do.
Okay, and then also make sure you enter it into the system so that we have a record that it's a closed account.
Okay.
Great question.
Hopefully you know where to go with your questions. Obviously, the IMT folks are your first stop, but we're here to help you as the end user tools group too. Thank you, everybody. And big thanks to Emma and Mafalda for helping me out this morning. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Bye for now. Good luck out there.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.